Hey everybody, how you doing? We're still over at CT's channel, but I went ahead and left and bounced out because I am bored as crap. Uh, I'm just gonna watch some videos until everybody gets in. Oh, y'all got anything y'all want to see? What's up, Brewski? Y'all got anything y'all want to watch? I'm gonna pull up some stuff on YouTube that we can have a reaction to until I get some people. Hit the panel. Help me out here. I'm not good at just being by myself. It's no fun that way. Yeah, right now we're just gonna have some reaction videos until people pull up into the panel. Excuse me for the dead air. I'm gonna be rambling a little bit. All right, pulling up a video now.
Favorite part after coming home after a long day of work is just getting to take off my socks.
All right, smile if you're alive.
At any rate, that is what we're going to try to do.
The shot is swishy. Ooh, but you
Swishy, nipply, nipply.
Hi, can I get a medium iced coffee? And everything bagel toasted with extra plain cream cheese? And a side order of bacon?
Who could tell me how the formula begins? X equals...
Skip it up and that up.
Hindi nandun pera kayo di ba tuh?
Ay, sabi ko nga, jangan itumatay kay ilang na
Deploying flashbang. Throwing flashbang.
Reduce. Reuse. Ikiki.
Hey.
These memes are terrible, so I'm gonna find something better for us to wait for people to come on the panel with.
It is basically effectively, and so actually and so tell me why I'm wrong.
How can I your fucking opinion? You're the one who runs the children! Literal children!
New York is the economic, cultural, and social capital of North America.
Hey, yo, we got Byron's Car Wash live from Coney Island. Are you vaccinated? Yes, sir. He's really skiing in Coney Island on a hard top. What we doing, Coney Island? Hey, yo, Ariana Grande, what's up, mama? Come to Coney Island, take a spin on the cyclone. I miss you.
Hey, yo, this is the king and Kanye of Coney Island. He got his phone and his balls. Steve Jobs did not die for this. If you see these dogs in your front yard, just know upstairs I'm going hard. Bing bong.
Tu mama pelugrítica en tanga y te deseo buenas noches. Muchas gracias, Caridad.
Get away. Before the villagers come.
And as for my American friend, take him to
Brazil.
No! No!
Brazil.
No! No, please!
Top 10 reasons why South America is better and more based than North America. Número 1. Eduardo.
Well, thank you, and thanks to all the gathered delegates and luminaries. And
What's up, Jim? How are you doing? Hit the panel, man. I'm waiting on the panel to get here, so I gotta find some funny stuff for everybody to watch till the panel gets here. Sorry for that. We're gonna go and we can watch this one.
Of freedom, fast food, highways, oil, eagles, and you know those fun, wholesome, harmless steel devices. Obviously, I'm talking about cars, which you can use to travel from one state to another, of which there are 50 spanning 6 time zones, 4 million miles of road, and 200,000 fast food restaurants. Well, today we're going to be going through those states one by one and ranking them all on this beautiful tier list. Little disclaimer, this video is going to be in 2 parts because I want to make sure I actually talk about every state and not rush any essential analysis, maybe with the exception of South Dakota. Yeah, anyway, the one unified video would just be far too long for some of you guys' attention spans. I would have to start incorporating some Subway Surfers gameplay. You get the idea. Our first state up is Florida, the ancestral lands of the world famous Florida man, the shining beacon of freedom, the mecca for redneck hillbillies and Disney adults alike. Hear me out right, these guys have to get an honorary S. Out of respect, because this state is truly the pinnacle of America. Everything they stand for, everything they fantasize about, other states could only dream about. The simply humongous amount of soulless corporate slop malls, the most gigantic, colossal, nauseating suburbs this world has ever seen, the sheer lack of any minorly usable public transport, the fucking highway systems, oh my god, it's enough to make President Truman ascend into the clouds. Just look at this shit. That's a 2-hour drive, bro, only in Florida. That's right, we only use boats to suspiciously traffic that one specific sugary, energizing, addicting substance into Miami. Hell yeah, I'm talking about Coca-Cola. Obviously, I'm talking about Coca-Cola. I mean, almost 70% of Florida residents drink Coca-Cola daily. What the f? Nah, these guys have to get an S. It's unnegotiable. Next up, Georgia. Man, what can I say? King Carly, UFC, Stalin, Skibbity Toilet. These guys are seriously producing some of the best contributions to our world today. Wait, hold up. Oh, no. Yeah, this state is just mid, honestly.
Oh, no, this is the one we watched. This is the one we watched yesterday. You know what? I'll just play some of the songs. Nah, I can't play those songs. Wouldn't get them over here. Ah, here we go. Part 2.
Blessed, respected ancestral lands where dong-smoking nomadic tribes freely roam about, living humble lives of peaceful coexistence alongside the wise bison and the green plains. Until a few hundred years ago, until July 4th, 1976. That's right, I'm talking about the US fucking A. I'm talking about this beautiful goddamn flag, which has 50 stars representing the 50 states, which today I'm going to be tier listing. I did another video where I tier listed all of the eastern United States, but that don't even fucking matter, bro. Don't even think about that, because today we're gonna be focusing in on the glorious South. You know, the guys that lost the war, and the Wild West, the shining beacon of manifest destiny, the furthest grasp of westward expansion. Wow. It's just so beautiful. There's going to be one more video in this series where I finish up the rankings by rating the non-mainland states, Hawaii and Alaska. But importantly, in that video, I'm going to be reshuffling the tier list a little bit based off my general evaluation and mainly the comments. So please, please, please let me know if you have any hot takes or any vital information you think I should know regarding the ratings at the end of this video. I will read through all the comments to make sure I have the most accurate analysis possible. Anyway, enough waffling, or should I say pancaking, because the first state we got up is the colossal Texas, the biggest mainland state, the state with the second highest population, the state which is so goddamn big their whole ass motto is everything's bigger in Texas. And that's definitely true. The trucks, the guns, the flags, the roads, the malls, the meal portions, and therefore the people. Yeah, Texas is fat as fuck. 34.8% of Texans are obese. Surveys have found the average Texan can't run 1/5 of a mile. That's insane. But in general, this is going to be a reoccurring theme with the South. Honestly though, I can't really blame them. Less than 5% of Texans use public transport. To make up for that, they got some of the most insane highways in the country. Specifically, they have the world's widest highway, apparently. Wow, I'm just in awe, man. 0% fucking tax. You don't need a license to carry a gun. You can just murk someone who steps 1 inch into your property. Syrup on bacon. Oh my god, man, it's too much for my soy European mind to comprehend. A funny thing about Texas though is they have their own California. It's called Austin. This is the city where pretty much every Californian who left in a great 2020 Cali exodus moved to. Famously, Joe Rogan. The concentration of ice baths in Austin is crazy. Texas is slowly becoming the ice bath / podcast capital of the world. Like 500,000 Californians have moved to Texas in the last 5 years. That's more people than a lot of major European cities. Again, my mind cannot compute these numbers, bro. The reaction of the OG hillbilly Texans to the new gen Texans moving in is pretty hilarious, to the point where there's a considerable support for the Texan succession movement known as Texit, so that they can protect their own borders from Californians. Oh my god, bro. Yo, you guys don't remember how this went last time? Overall, Texas is so fascinating. It's so insane for me. A man who's never left the European continent. It's so insanely quintessentially American that I actually think a lot of the things we view in Europe as stereotypical American stuff is actually just Texan stuff. And you gotta remember, once upon a time, Texas literally stretched all the way to Wyoming. Everything's bigger in Texas, even history. S tier. I have to go. I have to visit. I feel like brisket would change my life and transform me into a God-fearing, arms-bearing American, probably. On to Texas's smelly, damp, freaky, but charming neighbor, Louisiana.
They had a dude in our town, no arms, used to fucking fight everybody. They had a summer in our neighborhood where somebody stole the top of everybody's car, and they ended up busting the person. They were trying to make a boat. There's been 4 cold days in the history of Louisiana, so to have a hot tub is just, it's all, you're basically making soup out of whoever you invite to sit in it. That's when I got involved in this damn cult. What the fuck?
Louisiana is actually insane, man. They literally exist separately from the rest of America in their own little corner. They got their own Creole French culture, the music, the fucking partying, the food, even their accents sound like they're constantly chewing on gumbo. But once again, truly a fascinating place to me. And New Orleans is absolutely stunning. Maybe because it was built by French people, not Americans. I heard some of the craziest stories about Mardi Gras. I think the crunkness levels of Louisiana has to be admired. So despite the fact that the state is being swallowed up by the ocean as we speak, and despite the fact that the state is inhabited by the freakiest swamp creatures since Shrek, they're still getting a C because they also make my favorite hot sauce. I drink this shit like it's water, man. Oh, man, Arkansas is literally just Louisiana, but with none of the appeal of Louisiana. The only thing they got on Louisiana is the fact that they aren't sinking away into the sea. They got none of the crazy, unique culture. They are just left with Louisiana's poverty, violence, and inbredness. Plus, they ain't got one city with a population over 200k. Oh, hell no. The only thing they are famous for is being the home of that anti-colonial Filipino militia. Seems random. I don't know. It's weird. Let me know if I'm missing something here, but goddamn Arkansas, man. They literally got a city named Gooberville. It's gonna have to be F tier, man. I'm sorry. On to Mississippi, the state which gives me a brain aneurysm every time I try and spell its name. The state which is home to the USA's most important
I thought that would be funny. We can go back to the America now. Y'all can hit the panel if you want.
waterway, and they decided to pollute the fucking shit out of it. I remember watching a video where David Cho sailed down the Mississippi River in an inflatable dinghy, and I thought it was the most disgusting thing I ever seen in my life. And if I remember correctly, falling overboard meant essentially instant death. Anyway, we're in the real deep south here, which means the 3 M's: moonshine, meth, and marriage to your cousin, all of which are on clear display in this state. They got more vibes than Arkansas, less vibes than Louisiana, and Mississippians are goddamn big. It's the fattest state in America. They can get a E for now. Alabama, my Birmingham brothers, the only other people in the world who understand the struggle.
I just woke up in a fucking steaming mood, yeah, because I live in a shithole. Do you know what I mean? Birmingham is a fucking shithole. I hate the fucking place.
But honestly, this might be the only time ever that I'm thankful I live in my city, because Birmingham, Alabama is so fucked up, it's crazy. In 2024, it's the most dangerous city in America. I think Alabama has the potential to be a much better state if Florida didn't steal its whole ass coastline. Like, damn, bro, they really did a Croatia on these guys. That's fucked up. Although, I don't know, maybe they'd rather not contain Panama City Beach. I wouldn't blame them. The only thing that Alabama is known online for is the whole marrying your cousin thing. And look, frankly, I think that's just unfair, man. To give this state some real credit, they're actually known for marrying their siblings as well. E tier. Now, Tennessee is a different story. These guys have such a long, skinny state that they pretty much contain every single American biome possible. Anything from roasting deserts to snow-capped frozen highlands. This state really has it all. Even historical, groundbreaking artifacts. That's right, the biggest pyramid in the world outside of Egypt is in Memphis, and it's a fishing shop. Tennessee has some of my favorite city names in America: Chattanooga, Nutbush, Nankippoo, Yum Yum, and my personal favorite, Regret. Damn. Yeah, I feel that one. Obviously, Nashville is super famous for country music and fried chicken. Two things this state does phenomenally. This state has such an important musical influence over the world. I mean, where would the annoying-ass brain-rotted Russian producers be without funk music? Originally invented in Memphis, actually, by talented humans like Young Dolph. Obviously, the most famous Tennessee musician was Elvis, who, despite, being up to some questionable things and eventually passing away from shitting too hard, he put Tennessee on the map. And I think he was onto something, because this state is pretty goated in my opinion. And if you want to gain 200 pounds in a decade, just like Elvis did, this state is for you. A tier. Next up, Kentucky, known for KFC and That's about it. I know it isn't, but I think Kentucky should be counted as part of the Midwest because deja vu alert, we're talking a lot of goddamn corn, and it gets way too damn cold here in the winter for them to be classed as the South. I think when Europeans hear the word Kentucky, they just assume it's like down here in the deep South. But bro, it borders fucking Illinois and Ohio. It is not the South. Kentucky is seriously mid, man. I couldn't find one standout positive or one standout negative about this state. Honestly, they should have just stayed as part of Virginia and just formed one massive mid state. Honestly, I don't even like KFC, man. It's way too soggy. I want my chicken crispy or spicy, and if this kind of mid soggy stuff is what Kentucky are proud of creating, they're getting a D. Right, last state in the East. Once again, it's kind of questionable whether this one is in the South or the Midwest, but we got West Virginia. Man, this state is so fucked up that I kind of had to rate it above an F. It's almost impressive how fucked up this state is. It consistently peaks in the kind of list you don't really want to peak in. Ever since us humans stopped using coal and coal became a bit more scarce, this state's industry has been cooked. They've had a Detroit level decline, just it happened twice as long ago and they still haven't recovered. Yeah, despite being pretty close to the economically goated East Coast, West Virginia just fucking benefited nothing. Imagine if all the shitty parts of Ohio made up one entire state. You got West Virginia, which really just feels like the outcast bits of all the surrounding states, bits that those states didn't want to claim because the hillbillies are too hard to control. Yeah, this state is one of the most rural. Therefore, the hillbillies out there are literally out of fucking control. Bro, moonshine is legal. It's like the tweaker hot pot of this side of the US. And drug-related crime is so high in this state simply because they just don't have police. It's vigilante land, which in my opinion, that is true freedom. That's the beacon of humanity they have to go to eat. Just because I don't have the heart to stick them in F. I think they deserve better as humans. Alright, jumping over into the West. We got Oklahoma, the big pan. I'm not gonna lie, it's another fucked state. It wasn't even created until 1907. Bro, in terms of world history, that was like yesterday. That was like a couple hours ago. That was like fucking lunchtime, bro. Essentially, Oklahoma exists because Americans needed a bit of unwanted, shitty, ugly, dangerous land to lock up natives and force them into horrible poverty using alcohol, gambling, and inadequate rations. If you look at Oklahoma on Google Maps, you can see all these reservations, prison camps. That's essentially because all the land that the USA promised the natives that they could have was taken from them because of gold, crops, money, freedom. They basically forcibly marched these 5 big native tribes into Oklahoma, known as the Trail of Tears. And honestly, I would cry too if I was forced to move to Oklahoma. The reason the US government gave this land to natives was because it's essentially the worst fucking land in the world ever. And the government knew they would never ever want to settle such trash ends. The land is completely unarable. The communities there are so poor and violent. And also, I forgot to mention, there's the nice little threat of being completely obliterated by the air. Oklahoma is one of the absolute worst states for tornadoes, and I personally would never ever risk my life to live somewhere as ass as Oklahoma. So it adds up that a lot of Oklahomans had no choice. They had to live there. I mean, at least Nebraskans and Kansasans, yeah, they had to deal with tornadoes, but at least they got corn. Oklahoma don't even got corn, bro. What the fuck do they have? Bad.
Yo, what's up, Drew? How are you doing?
I'm vibing. Oh, we're the only ones here? Okay.
Yeah. I think Bumpkin's at work, and Jay, I think he's on a date with this woman. Just waiting for the panel to show up.
Gotcha, yeah. I was thinking for a moment, like, wait, someone as unstable as Jay has a girlfriend, but I mixed him up with Andre. Actually.
Lord. Shoot, so what you been up to?
Literally nothing. Just, cruising through school and whatnot. Just taking care of everything around me as well as I can. You know, right now it's on cruising speed. Nothing's particularly unstable. And given this is public, I won't share too much, but you know how it is.
Yeah, trust me, I feel you. Shit, well,
yeah. Before I get anything, I'm gonna get myself some more limeade, and I'm gonna mix some gin with it.
all right. Shoot, we're just doing part 2 of the videos we were watching about America on last stream until the panel shows up.
Gotcha. Yeah. Just give me like 2 minutes then.
All right, that hey everybody, finally got a Fringe Row showed up. We're just waiting on the panel. If you want to join and have a conversation, again, this is just kicking it panel, just chill stream. We're doing the part 2 of the state United States Explained. Sorry, I've been drinking a little bit, so I'm a little stuttery.
Weather and misery. Well, I guess the only talked about thing about Oklahoma is the panhandle of nothingness. Yeah, there's literally nothing here. It just came into existence from everyone arguing whether slavery was cool or not. So honestly, Oklahoma can get an F. Alright, bordering Oklahoma, we got New Mexico. The one thing New Mexico has going for it is Breaking Bad. And who would have thought? It turns out the series was actually a very precise depiction of the state. Yeah, they really adore crystal meth out there. On one hand, they got some truly pretty amazing historical sites and some very pretty cities too. But then there's also Albuquerque. Not only do they have crime, violence, addiction, poverty, also you can't even visit Walt's house without being abused. Bro, that's their only attraction. What do you mean? Look, I'm not going to give them an F because...
Welcome. I'm back.
And also, as people keep saying, my entire drip is Jesse Pinkman, but they can
is
get
it possible for you to lower the video volume a bit? I can't
On the
hear
other
you.
hand, Arizona, home to some of the world's greatest
Better.
wonders, so many
That's better.
national forests, so many preserved bits of nature, and most famously,
Yeah, what'd
the
you say?
Grand Canyon.
So what
Arguably
you? I said I asked you
the
what you've been up to
famous
again.
landmark, and what can
What's
I say?
up?
I
It's
got myself
colossal,
some
it's
limeade. I
awe-inspiring,
poured
it's
some
gorgeous.
Tanqueray in it.
Grand Canyon
Very
is
simple
truly
mix, but it
captivating.
works
So much
excellently.
that, you know, about 11
I have an
people
endless
a
bottle of
year, they get a bit
Jaeger.
too
Like I drunk
interested in. I mean,
2/3
talking
of it
about
over the
putting yourself
past
at
2 days,
risk,
and now
I
it's back
had
up to
no
halfway
idea
full.
how
I
many
don't know
people
how
were
that happened.
watching over me,
Okay.
maliciously harvesting personal information
Man is a
out of
fucking enchanted item from D&D. What the hell?
suddenly got ads to visit the
A
Grand Canyon.
magical
Honestly,
bottle of
I know
Jaeger.
people potentially having access to my
Fascinating.
online activity.
It's like the
That's
golden
scary.
goose,
I
though.
want
Make
my
sure you don't
5
get to
AM
the end of
search
that in
history
one
to be
evening,
known
or
by
it won't
me and
replenish.
me only.
You know?
See, I set
I
up this
think
tool
I
called
think I got a
Incogni
little tipsy
yesterday. I was
last
not
night towards the
expecting
end
to
of the
see
chill
32
stream.
companies, people with
So
my
I think I
personal
poured
information. I hate it
some
so much when I get spammed.
root beer in there because I like Jaeger and root beer
big
mix.
money business update.
There.
No, it's just mega
I haven't
Nigerian
tried
money
that
and
before. I
cash
haven't had
now.com
Jaeger
trying
in
to sell me
forever.
another set of
Like
Toyota
3 years at this
sliders,
point.
bro.
Good as
I
hell.
don't want some brother in
Yeah.
Lagos to be
Good as hell, but
flexing
at least
like
for me, it
7
always felt like you
necklaces
could only
just
have
because
like
he got a hold of my
one,
information and
maybe
sold it
2
on.
shots
You
at a
can
time.
fix this before
Somehow
you
it
knowingly
feels
bought a
filling,
Nigerian bro a
which is
G-Wagon.
weird to
With
say about a liquor,
all
but
they need is
I don't
the
know
most
how else to
basic
describe it.
information, and voila, they reach out to the data brokers
Yeah.
and remove your private data from the market. I'm the kind of guy that will take 20 packets of sugar from on it, and you're also supporting me as a creator
But-
at the same time. That's
I was about to ask if they
incogni.com/geofold
covered a certain
and
state
use
yet,
code
but then I realized
geofold
that
or
probably
click the
doxed
link
me.
below. Thanks Incogni for
So
sponsoring.
They
That
did,
rural,
and
beautiful
they
side
did.
of Arizona is definitely
Man.
what
Oh, well.
Arizonans would want me to focus on when tier listing this state. But
Did I
unfortunately,
interrupt you?
I'm
Were you
gonna
saying
have to
something, or-
talk about
No, I'm just
Phoenix.
I'm just smoking a
don't
cigarette,
get fooled
sipping on
by the
Jaeger.
glamorous sounding
Yeah,
name.
fair.
This
I
city
can't have
is
any
low
cigarette
key
now.
hell
I'm
on
indoors.
earth, and that's not really directed at the people of Phoenix. It's more about
Yeah.
the fucking heat.
Are things good on your end?
At night
Yeah.
anyway.
No, they're great.
Where-
I'm
what
just
city
I'm
is
just
that? Is
bored
that
doing a
desert?
chill
Is
stream.
that hell,
'cause-
nigga?
Phoenix
even if
is
you don't
so
have to, you
dystopian,
gotta
bro.
do the
It's the
streams.
world's 8th
The
hottest
algorithm like
city.
to
That's hotter
step
than like
up.
every
Yeah,
African
they just
city,
want as
bro.
much
Did
activity as
Americans
possible.
even slightly take this into account when
Yeah.
building Phoenix up in
You got an ETA
1950?
for
Of
when the panel will be
course
on,
they
or-
did. not. Of course,
it's my fault. I was 2 hours late because I was on a Chaotic Truth stream.
The lack of
I feel bad for him. He's tired. I usually do an after party after there, but people keep paying for it to keep going,
fridges, ice machines,
and
sprinklers,
he is tired. Like he looks like he's about to die.
Waste heat. This place is literally just an invisible furnace.
What the fuck does streaming do to people that just drain everyone so much?
And I mean,
well, I mean, he's making money. It's the asinine conversations you have to have.
Yeah.
Heat this high doubles
It's
the
like
chance of you having a heart attack, and thousands
if you're
of
just
people
watching,
die
you
from
can
just straight up
auto-tune the bullshit
sunstroke or
out
dehydration in
and
this
just
state
wait for the
every
funny
year.
moments. But
It's
if you
gonna
have to put up with
damn
that, and not
impossible
only
to
that,
go
but
outside
manage it
in
as the head of a
Phoenix and
stream,
lot of the rest
then
of the
it's
state.
just
So if
fucking.
you drop yourself on Google Maps anywhere in
terrible.
southern Arizona, there's like a
Yeah.
1% chance
But
you'll
It's
see
an
a
activity
pedestrian.
that
It literally looks
actively
like there was
feels
a
boring,
zombie
which is even
apocalypse or
worse than
something.
just
It
having
feels
nothing to do and
completely
being bored.
empty. That being said, I
Well,
do think
I
this
feel
state
really
is
bad for
cool,
CT because
definitely
he's already had a
State
migraine,
flag is one of the
Oh,
rare
shit.
and like
amazing
he's having to
state
talk
flags.
to
So for that, I've
Wignats,
gotta give them a high
foundational
C
Black
at least.
Americans, and then the
Nevada,
black guys
probably
who think they're
the
Native
only
Americans.
true remaining
And
Wild
like
West
he
state.
makes money though.
Casinos,
He makes
pools,
money. Don't get me wrong. Like
fighting
people,
duels, tax
so that's
breaks,
why he
nuclear
does it.
weapons,
And people
non-nuclear
people
weapons.
always
You
forget
can
he's an
truly
entertainer.
find it all in
So they
Nevada.
always
I already
expect him
got
to
a
take a
whole
side,
video
and it's
about
like,
Las
bruh.
Vegas because my European brain finds this
I have met a
ultra-capitalist
Jewish
mecca for
gentleman
American
that I have become
degenerates.
friends
Frankly,
with,
mind-blowing. This
and I'm gonna be
supermassive,
real. I'm gonna be real.
relentless, violently bright
He was telling me about
advertising.
Judaism, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna read some of our DMs, but he was telling me about historical Judaism and how they reached them. Like, damn, dude, I guess this is a proto-eternal struggle.
Yeah.
I'm like, gee, I'm like, wow, it is very, very similar.
Yeah. I've been learning a lot about them myself. And if anyone's watching and cares about what I'm about to say, I've never been particularly chuddy towards the Jews compared to other people who you've generally had on the stream, I imagine. If anything, I kind of get it. Because, like, you don't have a state. And no matter what other advantages you have in life, not having a state for your people is fundamentally the biggest disadvantage you could possibly have.
Yeah.
And, like, whatever you think about, maybe they have a victim complex, whatever, nowadays, they probably have the most background to fundamentally justify it. Like, I'll be honest. From our position, we concede about them as much as we'd like. But if I were to do that for my own, if I were to do like 12 times whatever the hell's happened to them to secure a future for my own people, I'd take it in a heartbeat. So, like, I get people being salty about the Jews, but I can't blame them for it myself, you know?
Well, the Jewish gentleman I'm talking to, he goes by Gimpy, and he's on CT's panel. And him and I were talking, and he was supposed to send me a video, but he never sent it. It's the rabbi who put down the Arab revolts. I've been referring to him as the new Lion of Judah. And, like, dude's pretty base. Like, I love nationalism in general for everybody. And, like, I've done my research on the Palestinians, and I say free Palestine to piss off the liberal Jews. But at the end of the day, Palestinians are. Do you know what happened when in Egypt? I believe Gimpy, he said even Cyprus, they tried to do it. And Lebanon was also somewhere they tried. Like, Lebanon, they wound up taking over and deposing the king there. They tried to do so in Egypt. Not the king, but the government in Egypt.
I see. Interesting.
And everywhere every Arab country that has tried to take them in, they tried to depose and take over the country.
Yeah.
So
it's fucking wild, bro.
Like, imagine being so Jewish, even the Jews don't want you.
Okay. That's where I halt my comments. Yeah.
But no, like, I don't. I you know me, I've always seeked out truth, and I like this gentleman Gippy, so I don't mind learning about the Talmud and Judaism from him, because I don't feel like he's going to try to lie to me about it.
Fair, yeah.
Because and I also noticed, you know, one of my things about white nationalism in the pro-white sphere is the biggest thing they want to do is they never want to self-reflect. They never want to talk about how white people can improve themselves. They just want to attack Jews. And then when there's a Jew on panel, they expect all Jews to be a monolith. So whenever that Jewish woman is talking about Europe and multiculturalism and how Europe has yet to embrace multiculturalism and we will be a part of it, they want to go, oh, what do you think, Gimpy? Huh? Get on your Jew phone and talk to her. And it really just shows you the ignorance and stupidity of these people.
Yeah.
And I hate that I'm aligned with them. And then me and Gimpy were talking. It's like, dude, I hate that I automatically get aligned with Jews who want to destroy people's fucking homelands. It's stupid. It's annoying. It's like, yeah, unfortunately, we bear the burden of our most retarded and outspoken populations.
That's the eternal story, yeah.
Because me as a white nationalist and a pro-white person, they'll always just see me as a trailer park Mexican. So
Mexican. I never heard that term before. I'm taking it though.
Oh, how you doing, Jim?
What's up, Jim? I don't think I've met you. It's nice to meet you. I'm Jerome.
Pleasure. I can't stay long. Actually, I'm working, just listening. And first of all, congratulations on your new stream, Orthodox Guy. I think you deserve it. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Don't worry.
I can hear you. I was saying thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, that's right. No worries. Look, congrats. That's all I got to say to you and your channel. I hope you make money and all the best. And let's have a constructive discourse, which is so hard these days to have with normal people.
Absolutely.
Because they all take it out ad hominem, and everybody thinks they're right, and our worldviews, once it's challenged, we've got our own convictions and our own individual proclivities, which we can't separate from. But getting back to the topic, which I just want to say 2 bobs worth of my contribution against the great circumcised one. I don't,
All right.
And they are missing they're always, the women are in continuous mourning because there's not enough flesh there once they get chopped at birth, and once the good old rabbi starts sucking and they can't get away from that. Anyway, I'm being sarcastic and trying to be comical. On the serious note, if I could say a few words and go on a bit of a rant, I hope I don't dominate.
By all means, Jim, go ahead. This is a free speech panel. I don't care about monetization, so you can say it how you want to say it. That goes for the chat. That goes for the chat as well.
Howdy, partner. I love my Southerners. I like my Robert E. Lee. He's my hero. How's my American accent? Is it all right? Do I get a pass?
I'll give you an A for effort, but it was bad. It was bad, Jim. It was bad.
It was like a D. The D is clutched by the A for effort. It very much sounds like an Anglo trying to mimic an American accent.
Yeah, I know. I apologize.
Don't apologize, because to me, I love my Southern drawl and I love the Southern accent.
I love it. That's what attracts me to you, because of that drawl, that Southern. You can't escape from it. It's a dying language, actually.
Sadly,
American English. Yeah, it is, unfortunately.
I talk to like any Southerner. I interrupted you. My bad.
That's right. Go ahead.
I talk to any fucking Southerner from an urban area or a suburban area, especially, and they just have a standard American accent, especially like Northeast oriented. You only really find the authentic Southern accent in the more rural parts of the country, or poor urban parts as well, but even then it tends to be AAVE.
I'm gonna be real with you. If the Southern drawl disappears, I hope the Australian accent doesn't, because a blonde woman speaking with an Australian accent is the single most attractive accent I've ever heard in my life.
Oh God,
the Australian accent's fucking underrated, bro. My goddamn.
No, mate, let's not go there. There are different levels. There's educated Australian accent, And the most interesting, I think, it's the bogan. Bogan's equivalent would be the trailer park. People, very poor, destitute on housing commission and so forth. And they've got really thick, and they've got all these, things. Anyway, one boy with linguistics. I'm back on a subject. What I try to point out, and if I can give a bit of a pushback to the panel, is as we speak, I'm talking about Gaza in particular. It's 42 square kilometers. There was 2.3 million people, and that's all public. It's all statistics before the October 7th, living there in a prison. And that prison is called concentration camp. The people there, call them animals, call them people, Palestinians, people trying to dehumanize them. Again, I'm a Catholic, traditional Catholic, and I'm not a friend of Muslims in the sense of their ideology, aggressive ideology of Islam. But leaving that aside and my own prejudices and my own worldview, it's the biggest concentration camp ever. Mediterranean Sea, they can only fish 2 miles out. If they venture beyond 2 miles, the Israeli boats intercept and fire at them. They can't go to Egypt down south. They can't go to Jordan, which is next door. They can't go up to Israel. So imagine being an 18, 19, 20-year-old since 1967, and you're cooped up in this place. It's unrecognized place. You're in a limbo. You're under the control and auspices of Greater Israel and Zionists. And nobody wants to call it out and call it's a concentration camp. What's the definition of concentration camp? The first concentration camp, as you know, was in South Africa, instituted by Winston Churchill, where all the Boers were kept. It's not the Germans or the Russians, the gulags. They just copied the model. So it's the English. But that doesn't mean I hate English or Anglo-Saxons or anybody for that matter. But nobody wants to call out. Now, you Americans, you're an empire, like the Roman Empire, like the Ottoman Empire, like the Mongolian Empire. And you're on your way down. Now, every bullet, every bomb dropped in Lebanon, in Gaza, on the West Bank is American. You, as taxpayers, as citizens of America, advertently or inadvertently, your tax dollar is indirectly killing people. So nobody wants to think outside the box. We can point fingers and say, oh, it's his fault, or they're non-humans. And the first thing is propaganda is to dehumanize. What the left says, they're very good with language, with etymology, which is the root of language. They categorize you fascist, Nazi, supremacist, racist, all these buzzwords, misogynist, blah, 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 meaning end of the thing, you are the evil. So the other thing I like to point out, do you realize there's no one American, Calathumpian, Australian, European reporter reporting on the genocide, not atrocity, genocide of the Palestinians? I don't care what you think about them, they're human beings. And now, look, I'm just quoting 2.3. I mentioned 2. Everybody agrees on that. Google it. Before the war. Now, Trump, I'm quoting Trump, and I'm a very conservative person. He says, I will develop Gaza. There's only 1.7 or 8 million of them left. We all know nobody taken it. My question to you and everybody and all the journalists, where are the 500,000 in the last year? Men, women, unarmed men, women, and children gone. Are they dead, wounded? Who took them in? Nobody. That means they're dead. No more 2.3 a year ago, 7th of October. Now, Trump himself knows, of course, and CIA and intelligence and Mossad and so forth, there's only 1.8 left. Who's going to take him in? Hello? Talking about quietly, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, killing, get rid of people. How do you explain now everybody's... No one journo has asked a pertinent question. I beg your pardon, Mr. President. Correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't there 2.3 million people in this concentration, 42 Ks, which is about 35 square miles, living? 2.3, more condensed than downtown New York, the shithole, or Compton. It's worse shithole than that. Okay? And nobody's talking about that. I'm approaching this problem from a Christian, from a Catholic perspective. I'm quoting facts, not propaganda. I'm not anti-Jewish or anti-Israel. I'm anti-Zionist, which means greater Israel, and the Messianic and neo-Christian Zionists are the biggest contributors. That they're called fucking buffheads. The biggest so-called denomination of that Scofield Bible, mate. It just could just. I go into a rant, but I think I'm speaking facts, not propaganda, not taking. So I've got no dog in this fucking fight. I'm not an Arab. Okay. In fact, a lot of them are. But put yourself, imagine. What I'm saying, you got to sort of go back and think of a perspective. For example, they're talking about Hamas. Hamas is an ideology. It's an excuse. How can you kill liberalism or communism? Well, yes, every communist in the world should be shot dead. Every Cuban, start with Cuba, start with Venezuela, let's get North Korea, etc. You can't do that. It's an ideology. But that's an excuse. Netanyahu comes around, we are bombing. Imagine killing 100 people, hospitals. No hospitals. Unarmed. They've got no toilets, no sewage, no electricity. And they killed. Inadvertently, they gave the game out. 2.3 now, they're talking about 1.8 million left. And we all know there's no mass migration or exodus from Gaza. Please explain, Mr. President, or Mr. Netanyahu. And that's what people, I really, I'm not a genius. I'm not a rocket. I'm not a politician. I'm a simple buffet lawyer. But when you see the inconsistencies, in people not thinking, it really annoys me. Anyway, I better shut up while I'm ahead.
No, you're good, Jim. Like I said, you can say what you want on here.
I don't even strictly disagree.
Go ahead.
Do you want to go first, or should I, Orthodox?
Go ahead, Drew. You're good.
Okay. Excuse my cough. Honestly, don't be afraid about voicing this stuff to me or to Orthodox. I know Orthodox is a very good guy, and I certainly don't mind if you say anything like this. Again, fundamentally, these are takes that, I owe respect to you fundamentally as a person, and your willingness to engage with me in this discussion is also entitles you to respect, and it's my duty as a person to provide that. So don't ever feel like you have to hold back, because I wouldn't be an honest intellectual partner, and I wouldn't be worth discussing with if I wasn't someone you could trust with this. So I do my best to be that. Second thing I wanted to mention. Honestly, I do find myself, frankly, in full agreement with the situation in regards to civilians who have died. Because it's you see this attitude in post 9/11 America that terrorism fundamentally is the devil and the worst thing ever. But instead of simply targeting individual terrorists who in effectively every movement have only numbered a few thousand, you can apply the status of terrorists to the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people ever since then that are ethnically related to them, or at least in the same geographical proximity. And so they're fundamentally acceptable casualties in the route to wear out terrorism. A part of this, I think, is due to like the American, I guess, indolent attitude. We have a very successful nation, the closest thing to a post-scarcity society in history. So any kind of threat to it seems significantly bigger than it actually is. And that includes the deaths of a few thousand people in 9/11, which was a tragedy. But the fact that that's the biggest tragedy our nation can say they faced in the past 30, 40 years certainly beats being in, say, Burma, where you are a single mother rationing a dead rat between your 6 children only to get napalmed by your own government in the name of counterinsurgency, where tens of thousands could die every year, where genocides have been carried out and been successful. What America has had to deal with struggle-wise and loss of civilian life-wise has been comparatively mild. And I think that's the root of the, frankly, at times disgusting attitude that we have towards what we see as terrorists and the people we see as affiliated with them. But, and I'll fully admit this is the cynical part of me, we as Americans have plenty of luxuries, and and because of that, our attitude towards a lot of people that we've gone to war with is certainly not justified. I'm not sure how much I can say is the same for Israel, because that is the only state of their kind. And although they have a presence outside of the world, Americans are not at risk of being holocausted. Smaller nations are, regardless of if they're Jewish or not. I don't know. I feel the more I say this aloud, the more I realize I'm kind of just devaluing human life as a whole, which is blatantly anti-Christian, and it's an attitude I personally need to overcome more than it's something that is at fault with your argument or even just a disagreement of worldview. It's like, I understand the need to secure a Jewish homeland, and fundamentally, I understand why the destruction of Israel is fundamentally uncompromisable, not only to the Jewish people, but to many people across the world who have suffered through similar struggles and also have a state they wish they could call their own. But very clearly, the force, like when looking at the Gaza war itself, the force has been very disproportionate. We are willing to get upset over just over 1,000 deaths and the hostages taken in regards to Israeli citizens. If this is a war and the same principles are to be applied to both sides, then most Israeli citizens have served in the IDF, man or woman. And so if everyone in Palestine is a legitimate target because they're affiliated with Hamas, the same principle should be applied to Israel. But you don't see that. If any Israeli citizen is attacked, it's a complete tragedy. If any Palestinian citizen is attacked, even though they arguably have an objectively less disconnect to Hamas than any Israeli citizen to the IDF, it's just an unfortunate casualty. I realize this has gotten to the point where I'm less actually listing any coherent point and more just listing individual observations. So I feel as if I am going to cut myself off for now, but I hope I provided at least something valuable to the discussion.
You did, actually. And that's kind of a point that, and it might get crazy if more panelists join, but here's my thing. Here's my fundamental take. You have a historic blood feud between Arabs and Jews. They are at a permanent state of total war. And we may not like the propaganda that Jews put out. We may not like the propaganda that Arabs and Hamas put out. But the simple fact of the matter is, if you look at history, the Jews have attacked Israel and Israel has attacked Arabs. And while I agree with you, Zro, that when you are at a state of total war, both populations are fair game. And if you look at Arabs and terrorist organizations, they have stated in the fact the reason that they target civilians in Europe and America is our tax dollars fund their demise and fund the war effort against them. So they view it as we are at total war with them. And Hamas is a terrorist organization. I mean, I love Hezbollah. I think Hezbollah is the bee's knees. I think they're the only ones right in the grand scale of things, ideologically speaking. But, and I don't like that Israel bombs churches. But again, what do we do with the Palestinians? What do we do with the Palestinian issue? Because they overwhelmingly voted for Hamas in their elections. They actively tried to overthrow their Arab brothers' kingdoms, and in one case succeeded. What do we do with people when they act like roaches? When they act like a plague? I don't like that children die in Palestine. I don't like that they're being genocided. But what do we do? I think that I think this is one of those things where we have to grin and bear it and just let it happen. Throw the dice where they are. Let this war play out. Let these things happen. I wish that we could pull the funding for Israel and let them stand on their own 2 feet, but that's not going to happen because of the Israeli lobby. It's not going to happen because of pro-Zionists. So I think this is just something the world's going to have to grin and bear it. This is going to be one of those tragedies that is just going to happen.
If I can just add to that, have you finished? I mean, I hope I haven't interjected.
I mean, like other than being very callous and saying hurtful things, I don't.
With respect, what you're basically saying is might is right. Now, if that is your argument, yes, that's the history. You know, the big boys have always played, top game, I suppose. You know, smaller nations, for example, the Kurds. There's more Kurds than and they live in Iraq, in Iran, in Turkey, in Kazakhstan. They're homeless people. But getting back to legality, I'm trying to point out facts, what's happening, not trying to take sides and get emotional, and so forth. Look, as a lawyer, as you know, a lot of Jews are doctors and lawyers, and I've got one very good personal friend who's his name is David. He married Shikta. All right, that was his big cardinal sin. Okay, and he's Orthodox Jew, or his parents, and he was supposed to marry a New York doctor, a Jewish lady, all arranged marriages, and he transgressed. That was a huge sin, and we are very close, and we openly talk about the geopolitics and history and all that. We're both a bit of nerds, I suppose. But I can tell you one thing, looking at from a historical, factual thing, we all know, we take it approximately 33 AD, Jesus was crucified and the temple was destroyed. Again, I'm bringing history / bit of theology or New Testament. And we all know,
we appreciate both. So
yeah. From a Catholic, from a Christian perspective, I'm talking not about Old Testament, New Testament. I'm particularly quoting Mark 27. I'm sort of paraphrasing. I haven't got the Bible here next to me, but we all know that let His blood be on us and upon our children. 40 years later, 70 AD. It's a historical fact from various. The first temple was destroyed by Romans, burned, and all the tribes of Israel, or Jews who lived there, it's called Palestine, not Israel, Palestine, were dispersed. And there's various theories where the Jews, Ashkenazi Jews and all the other tribes, and the ones went to Africa and Sephardic Jews, etc., etc. I'm not going to go into that. So they were dispersed from 70 AD. This is history. This is fact from various Roman sources who weren't friendly to the early Christian or the early Christian church, and Jewish sources. Again, give you bibliography on that, but this is not the time or place to give you that. They were absent from Holy Land in 6th century Islam, the birth of Islam. And this was all Christians. I'm talking about Egypt, Palestine, Israel, Turkey. The whole of Northern Africa was Christian. Alexandria before the 6th century. And that's the rise of the Islamic Empire. They pushed the Christians out. It wasn't Jewish. It was Christian land which permeated through the Roman Empire with the acceptance of Christianity in 3rd century under Constantinople, under Constantine, Emperor Constantine. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make, they were absent. The Jews weren't there. You know, the history of the old thing, from the Egypt, they went to the Promised Land and they settled, blah, blah. We're not going to go into that. But they weren't there till 1948. And a few years before that, we all heard about Lord Balfour and a Balfour Declaration. Now, Palestine as we know it, or Israel as we know it, the Jews constituted about 1%, 2%, coexisting with the great majority of Muslim Arabs / Palestinians. Now, we all know that before and in an interim period between First Civil European War, which I call First World War, and the Second European Civil War, where Christians killed Christians, white Europeans, Russians, Italians, Polish, French, German, English, blah, 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 killing each other like cats and dogs. Totally unnecessary. Thus collapse. I'm not going to go into the overall history. We all know that. They came back and they upset the Lord. It's like, I always use an analogy. Imagine when you were younger. I'm sure you grew up in a different house with your mum and dad and your siblings and all that. Now you're probably, you guys are probably in your mid-30s, probably single or looking for a girlfriend or have a girlfriend or a fiance or whatever. And then you drive by with your son or daughter and says, "Hey, Jenny," whatever. Guess what? This is the house where I grew up, 20, 30 years ago, whatever. And then you go, "Let's go and see who lives there." And you knock on the door and you say, "Hello, hi, Mr. So-and-so. Look, this used to be my mum's and dad's house. Could you be so kind to move out? I just want to move into one of those rooms. I know the outlay of this place." That's what has happened in 1948. So your assertion, there's a history of animosity between the Arabs and the Jews, is totally factually incorrect. Yes, since 1948. And there are Arabs, great grandkids, who were 700,000 Arabs, initial exodus of Jews from Europe mainly, from Poland, from Ukraine and Russia, who came there, were thrown out, taken up. Their houses are occupied. They've still got their keys. And I've noted in some of the demonstrations, there was placards, and they got keys there saying, "We still got our keys of our houses, which we were simply thrown out." So from a legalistic point of view, and what's the excuse of the Jews? We are the chosen people. We are the chosen people. So because of that saying, we are the chosen people, we've got every right. We are the elite. We are the supremacists. Listen, you Goyim, shut the fuck up. We're in charge. We're the smart ones. That's what you're indirectly saying, which I think highly offensive as a Christian, as a Catholic, as I said, is highly, highly offensive to me, what about the Christians now in Palestine? Palestinians are Christians. My Pope Francis, who's allegedly in hospital, I don't know what's happening with him. Anyway, I'm totally dissatisfied. Not a peep out of him.
He's certainly interesting.
Not a peep out of him. Not a fucking peep out of it. I'm ashamed. I am ashamed because veritas is so important. Veritas, Latin meaning truth. Now we can obviate, we can change history, we can make excuses, and we say, "Oh, let them sort it out." Well, how about an even fight? If that's got to be a duel, well, how about Americans fucking off Israel? No more billions of your tax dollars, and no more, military-industrial complex giving him latest technology and American armor. How about that? That would be a start and a bona fide pledge of being neutral, which I don't believe in neutrality. But the other funny thing, which is quirks of history, there's about 198 countries in the world. Have you ever noted there's a little country called Israel, and every senator, every president pays homage. They don't go to Guatemala. They don't go to Tanzania or Ghana. But that before they get it, whether it's Republican, whether it's Democrat, doesn't matter. You got to pay and kiss the wall and put a bit of a paper in there. That's a fact. Now, ask yourself if you're a Martian looking there, you're not a human. Says, what's this 340 million people superpower? And every of them, half the senators and congressmen and judges and future past presidents pay obligatory homage to this country, little tiny country, totally insignificant, about 5 or 6 million people, if that. Just ask yourself, why? What's it behind? There's so many small countries there are around the world. Oh, how about Panama? How about Chile? Hello, Chile. Here you are. How about Argentina? No. How about Canada? Well, Trump said he's going to annex Canada. So he said, ask yourself. And a short answer is the Freemasonic, the power, money talks, bullshit walks. The Rothschilds, the people we know, they own us. I'm not even a pawn in a game of life. I'm not even a pawn. In a chess game, the pawn is the sacrificial lamb. I read a lot and I think a lot. And I ask questions, very inconvenient questions, trying to get to some sort of objective truth. But the more I think, the more I look at it, the more cynical and sarcastic I become. Disillusioned, basically, in the world, because it's all these fucking lies, blatant lies. Question to anyone, you, panel, journo, Mr. Trump, 1.8 million. What happened to the 500,000 people? No one took 500,000 people in. Please explain. Was that a typographical error? Did you misspeak or misspoke? Whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so from a historical point of view, from a legalistic point of view, it was founded by force and by argument, messianic, which is Zionist argument. Herzl, I'm not going to go into Jewish history. I know a bit about it. And the British got a lot to answer. All the troubles like in India, Pakistan, because British sort of drew maps, lines on a map, not taking, divide, the old Roman thing, divide and rule. Every empire does that. One group against the other. And we're now the biggest group were the Christians, and we've given up on that. Christianity is in decline, whether you're a Protestant, whether you're Catholic or Orthodox. And the church doesn't care. You know why church doesn't care, especially the Catholic Church? Doesn't get its money from people, donations? Because they're sold into the system. George Soros gives them money. COVID-19 bullshit and climate change. They don't care about people. And all our bishops, and most of them, not all of them, are shutting up. And silence is, you know what silence in law is? You're agreeing. Silence is as good as bad as doing the bad deed. If you're silent, you know the truth, but you're turning your head. Nothing to see here. And that's that hypocrisy and cruelty, which I detest. That's why I'm a poor lawyer. I'm not a rich lawyer. I could have made millions and live in Copacabana and Beach, no extradition with Australia, and I would have had $300 million. But I'm not like that. It's called honor. What's left of? No one's got that. But anyway, sorry about that. I will shut up. I actually will listen to you, but soon I've got to go. And if you're still on, I'll come back later on. But go ahead.
I get where you're coming from, Jim, and it's been an hour. A lot of the panelists didn't come up, so we're probably about to end it anyway. I'm going to finish out this video. Well, I might save it for the rest. I think the juxtaposition of the smiling minion face is kind of hilarious towards the sad tone.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Frankly, what you've said is something I have to think on, and especially think about how to word my response to. I cannot provide you a direct response to that right now. That's something I'll have to contemplate. But at some point, I would most certainly like to discuss this more with you, because you've brought quite a bit that I haven't thought about before. Jim. So I realize also when I make it that lengthy, it kind of sounds like a nothing burger response, but at some point I would like to discuss this more, genuinely.
No, great. Look, I'm not professing to be right. That's my take on reading history and a bit of politics. But I love the Socratic discourse, which unfortunately in our academia is no longer practiced.
Yeah.
Because everybody takes everything personally, like a personal attack, and you can't. And there's no disagreement. If you disagree with someone or challenge someone, or they go or attack you personally. Yeah. It's just a waste of bloody time.
Yeah, like I've known Orthodox for quite a while, and fucking hell.
I hope you're right.
I just dropped my napkin. It's all right. Yeah, I've known Orthodox for quite a while. I not only trust him, I trust him to also make sensible associates, especially in regards to politics. And regardless of what everyone in the discussion believes, I can trust everyone to be reasonable about it.
You know what's so frightening about Australia now? They're promulgating all these laws here. They're draconian laws. I mean, you can't even. It's in Parliament. It's about to be passed. It's George Orwell 1984 combined with Brave New World, Aldous Huxley. It's dystopian. But anyway,
you know how it is better than any American, honestly.
Well, you've got your Second Amendment right to.
Yeah. We've got our Second Amendment, and regardless of how many states clamp down on that, we have many other states that won't. You know, we have a massive amount of land and a massive amount of political diversity in that land, which means regardless what you believe, there's always a place you'll find in America that agrees with you.
Exactly.
And you can live there. Very much not the case in Australia.
Well, it's being attacked. You're being attacked. Your Second Amendment's a right to bear arms and your freedom of speech is being attacked incredibly. Because the left doesn't want to discuss it. Just look at their the products of the young students, in their 20s, 30s. What is it? A lesbian weaving or whatever.
They
get the degrees. They can't talk. It's so sad. The so-called universities have become, instead of learning, become indoctrination. They're indoctrinating the people in various ideologies, not exposing them to various opposing views. But anyway, that's sad, but it's happening all over the Western world, not only in America, Australia.
Very much so. Like America, at least has, at least what I believe, we have more capacity than any other Western nation to resist that trend.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that, mate.
Yeah. And
You've got
that's
that,
the luxury we have fundamentally, because Australia is a very big country, but only very select regions of it are inhabitable regularly.
about
No one
one or
lives in
two.
the center. Yeah. Either
there
Sydney
are,
or the
there
West
are,
Coast,
there are.
either the East Coast or the West Coast.
Yeah,
America,
Perth.
every section of it is habitable.
Yeah.
Even if it's very expensive, you know.
The problem with it, there is. Do you realize there's 2,000 Americans troops permanently in the middle of nowhere in Central Australia? Do you realize that?
That's the American way. Let's put a military base here because no one else has.
In the middle of, you know what it is? It's called Pine Gap. Google it. Every American nuclear sub in the world, whether it's North Pole, South Pole, Pacific, Indian Ocean, you name anywhere in the world, including America, if the command, God forbid, ever comes, it's going to emanate from middle of Australia, Pine Gap. So the CIA and Big Brothers are in charge of that satellite. So all the images from space, do you realize, comes from Australia? Apparently, the landing on the moon, whether it's true or not, in '69, came from Pine Gap, and then it got to Cape Canaveral and the rest of the world. But anyway, that's a bit of a side story. The other thing which is bad about Australia, it's only 26, 27 million people. We've got everything. We got rich as America, if not richer. Bauxite, coal, iron, uranium, second or third biggest uranium mines, gold, you name it, we've got it.
Yeah.
And we're too close to China. So,
Yeah. The only issue is just how many people you can physically settle compared to America.
And our next door neighbor is the biggest is Muslim country called Indonesia. It's got about
Indonesia's fucking
400 miles
in every aspect.
But it's Indonesia's not the threat. I think the second or the third war, Ukraine, you got Palestine or Gaza, is going to be the Taiwan, and that is too close for comfort.
Yeah.
We totally depend on America for defense. There's no way Australia can defend itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell all my friends, ironically, start learning Chinese, Mandarin.
Yeah. The Chinese century is upon us or something.
Yeah.
Me gonna explode again.
Okay, I'll let you go. Look, it was nice talking to you. And
yes, you seem like a very reasonable and a very pleasant guy to talk with, Jim.
That's
Sometimes I get really, really aggressive.
Oh no, Jim is a good fit for this because here's the thing: this show, it's called Just Kicking It. We're just here to bullshit and we're talking. Sometimes it gets wild and people argue, as we see in the second episode that happened yesterday.
I didn't see that. No, but
oh no, it was wild. I went to stream the second stream after the maiden one was the biggest one, and we had 30 viewers.
Oh shit! Good on you. Oh shit fight, eh?
Yeah, and it got so bad that somebody that was losing got mad and porn bombed, so we had to delete that stream and restart, and then we just had a chill stream. I mean, I don't care. From now on, I'm just gonna go in the. After I make the stream in the StreamYard, I'm going to go to the YouTube studio, turn off the DVR so they can't go and report it, and just edit it out once the video gets uploaded.
Yeah,
fair.
Because I'm just not going to deal with that because anybody can come here, anybody can say what they want and what they do. I'm not going to moderate it. I'm not going to dominate with my own opinions.
Yeah,
and I'm going to let people talk about what they want to talk about. And say what they want to say. If they want to send me some cash apps, they want to help me out financially, that's fine. But I want to have an open free speech panel where people can say what they want to say, and hopefully I can grow it. I got to network more and build my audience. So
good on you. We'll try to talk about money, and I'll probably give you a couple of good old dollars.
Hell yeah, thank you, Jim.
Should I say shekels?
Shekels. My friend Gimpy. I met him on CT stream, right?
Right.
And one thing that what's up, brother? How you doing? Badass thing. But he's Jewish, and I told him that I'm gonna Photoshop his face because CT's got a perfect picture of him sideways, and whenever because like I like talking to him because the only time he gets pissed off with white nationalists or right wing people is when they're attacking him personally.
Yeah.
For what Jews do.
Yeah, well, you can't exactly. This is look. I don't care which nationality or race or creed you are. You can't categorize every person as being, of that view, political, economic, or whatever. It's absurd.
I've already been called a race traitor because I take up for Gimpy and I like Gimpy. So I've decided that I'm going to take his Photoshop picture into that meme where it's a shekel for the good guy. I'm dropping it. Yeah. He's paid for me to be on CT stream.
Right.
And and everything. So I'm just gonna have whatever. I'm gonna have it for CT and on here whenever. And Gimpy's like, I won't sue. I think that would be funny as hell.
Yeah, it's fucking north of Dover.
So whenever Gimpy, if he's ever over here, whenever he gives money, and and whenever people are being disrespectful, hopefully we could just play it. Whatever we could play, and whenever they're talking shit, a shekel for the good
guy. So fucking incredible. I'd like to meet him someday.
Me and Gimpy had a great. I don't release DMs, and I don't think he would care, but I still don't do that on principle, unless he was here to voice his okay or nay or say. Absolutely. But me and him had a wonderful conversation, and he was explaining from the Jewish perspective, like the Jewish nationalist perspective. And I'm gonna be real, the way he was explaining the Old Testament and the way the philosophy of Jewish tradition and belief, it sounded more and more like the eternal struggle to me the more we talked. And I respect that. I respect that.
It's like, I guess just one last thing if I may go first, Jim, I'll be very quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The thing that really was a big eye opener for me is just like holy shit, I didn't even notice. Hello, Jay. Jay's Hot Topics. Welcome to the
You're good. You're good, bro. Do your thing, bro. Do your thing.
The thing that was very eye opening to me is just like, I was always skeptical because of like Wignat fucking explanation of what the Jews are doing, because it always made them out to be some kind of monolith, like some esoteric force that is controlling society, which is senseless to me because they've always fundamentally been comprised of people. And what was especially important to me was recognizing the actions of Israel and recognizing the history of the Jewish people from the perspective of they are their own group of human beings, and how would they respond to their circumstances? Like they're not just some esoteric force trying to make everything la DEI woke or whatnot.
Yeah.
Because that's entropy or whatever. It's simply, at least how I view it, the creation of their state and their enforcement of ensuring that state's security through the aid of other states is how you secure the future of your people as a whole. Because a state fundamentally provides security, and a state backed by other states is synergistic with that principle.
Yeah. I want to show you. I made 2 AI songs for CT stream today. One was for the Emmanuel fellow who was on there talking about gematria that kept going, CT, can you hear me? CT, can you hear me? So this is the first one. It's called CT, can you hear me?
Yo, before you begin, can you pause for a bit? I just got to use the restroom.
Yeah, nah, we'll keep it going. How you doing, Jay? What's up, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm just chilling right now. Figured I'd hop up, see what y'all are up to. I saw that you said you were going to be a good goy. So God save Israel.
Yep, God save Israel.
God, great as hell.
I love it.
So,
loyal.
Of course, I can't wait to go to Gaza Mar-a-Lago. I think it's going to be a lit experience. It'll be the biggest. It'll be the best. Hey man, listen, you play, but shit, I want to see Gaza Mar-a-Lago. That shit's probably gonna be lit.
Look, I'm gonna be real. I would be ecstatic. I think it'd be cool as hell if we took Palestine and just made it a U.S. territory instead of giving it to Israel. I think that'd be lit.
Yeah,
I will tell you this: it most definitely will be a very lucrative territory.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's
it'll
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Well, I'm saying it will be expensive to maintain, but it will be one of the probably richest places on earth.
It would pay
Able
for
to
it. It would
command-
pay for itself. Not only would it
It
be a
would.
great military, not only would it be a great military base, but it would be one of the best vacationing destinations.
I do think it's ultra fucked up though. Basically, like you're gonna have like about 2 million people who are gonna be completely displaced from their homeland.
I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real with you, badass. I agree with that for the simple fact that he says Orthodox. I'm gonna be one thing about me is I don't give a fuck about race or culture as long as you're making money, taking care of your family. That's all that matters. I don't claim anyone. I agree with that for one reason only. I don't believe in individuality myself. I think that we are only as strong as our group, and our group is only as strong as the weakest individual. But I agree with your sentiment for the simple fact that I, as a white nationalist, have been kicked around, talked shit on because I don't want to just go the Jews. Oh my God, that's not my show. It was the Semitic law. Oh my God. I always preach. Inward reflection and trying to better yourself. And nobody wanted to take those lessons. And they would get mad at me because I wouldn't accept. It's the Jews. And I think it's stupid.
Hello.
You will never get anywhere going, it's the Jews. And because I wouldn't participate in that level of groupthink, they didn't like it. And I will never do that because I seek out truth and honesty. That's why when I run into somebody who's good and cool like Gimpy, I make friends with them and I build bonds and I build connections and networks. So I agree with your sentiment, but for different reasons than you believe in it, if that makes sense. But yeah, let me play these songs. This one, it sounds fruity as hell, but it's funny because you just had to be there, but I'm proud of this song.
Tangled lines, echoes fade, but love still shines. Lost in static, your voice I'm missing. Silent whispers, no one's listening. City lights, they dim the stars, but I still see you from afar. Blindly searching for a sign, 'cause in the dark you're mine. City lights, they dim the stars, but I still see you from afar. Blindly searching for a sign, 'cause in the dark you're mine. City, can you hear me now? Hoping through the waves somehow. Love's a signal that's out of reach, but I'll keep trying to breach. Empty hearts and empty veins, lost in memories like chains. Holding tight to what was real, trying hard to heal. Signals dropping, heartbeat slow, still I fight through this shadow. You're the light I can't define, don't leave me behind. City, can you hear me now? Hoping through the waves somehow. Love's a signal that's out of reach, but I'll keep trying to breach. City, can you hear me now? Hoping through the waves somehow. Love's a signal that's out of reach, but I'll keep trying to breach.
I made that because I made that for two reasons. One, Emmanuel was on there, and he kept going, CT, can you hear me? CT, can you hear me? And then I noticed that one thing that happens is all these all these different ideologues and people that believe in different shit come on there, and they demand that CT listen to them, and they don't realize dude's just an entertainer. He's there. He's not using y'all because he gives you a voice. He lets you speak your belief. He lets you do your thing, right? But he, like, they attack the guy, talk shit on him because they're like a bunch of angry girlfriends, man. It's wild to me. I couldn't. I don't think I could deal with that if I was CT. CT's a better man than me. Before I play the next one that I made for Righteous Muffin, always blaming the Jews, I'm gonna read this. I'm not gonna tell you my race, so why does it matter? I'm very stable in my life, and race and culture doesn't play a part. I mean, fair. And I hope that you keep that stability. I hope that your family is strong and that you keep being a strong and good person, regardless. Because I want everyone to do the best they can. That's my ideology. Everyone to be in the best position they can. But this one is a country song called "Blame's My Only Friend," and I wish CT could have played this one for Righteous Muffin, but let's listen to it.
Only friend tonight, staring at this glass of life. Nothing feels quite right. Just can't help but wonder why. Streets are quiet, town so small. Echoes of my voice down the hall. Darkness falls and shadows blend. Feels like I'm losing grip again, but it's not me. It must be the fate I see. These heavy thoughts, they bear down on me. Can't fix what's broken, can't mend the seams. Blaming everyone or everything in between. Clock keeps ticking while I stand still. Pictures fade on the windowsill. The dreams I had all turned to dust. In this world, who can you trust? Looking back at all I've lost, counting up the many costs. Regret keeps pounding on my door. Guess my bad choices drowned in lore. But it's not me, it must be the fate I see. These heavy thoughts, they bear down on me. Can't fix what's broken, can't mend the seams. Blaming everyone or everything in between. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. But it's not me, must be the fate I see. These heavy thoughts, they bear down on me. Can't fix what's broken, can't mend the seams. Blaming everyone or everything in between. In between.
What do y'all think about my little culture of critiques there, making fun of people?
Honestly, I'll be honest, unless I'm reading over like lyrics itself, I have a hard time like actually hearing lyrics in a song at first glance.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't provide much critique on that. And right now I'm just impressed that AI is actually capable of mimicking a song that much.
Oh yeah, no. I wrote the prompt and a couple lyrics, and AI just did the rest, vocals and mute instrumental wise. So
Interesting.
I'm just
I
gonna.
didn't even know it had gotten that far. All right.
Yeah, I use Suno for that. I'm just gonna start. I'm gonna start just using it to make fun of people that annoy me. You know what? Gimpy has influenced me to become Jewish.
You've done the ultimate thing, profiting off of someone else's work via AI.
But very strong. By the grace of God, I've been able to buy an oceanfront condo for vacation rentals. I'm almost on 7 acres. Anyone can do it. Smart and hard work, I promise. I hope you're right. I really do. Badass thing. I hope you're right, and I hope that one day that I can be where you're at. I really do, and I hope that you stay strong. And I appreciate your viewership and your honesty, man. I really do. I think I will change my name to Jewish guy, Orthodox Jewish guy. But
you convert tomorrow.
Mm.
Well, I actually spoke with some other people, other Jews, recently. Apparently, if you're going liberal, it's very easy to convert. If you're going like conservative Judaism, all you have to do is put in the effort. But if you put in the effort, it will happen. The Orthodox are relatively picky about actually, what's it called? Actually passing.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I gotta pee. Keep the panel entertained, please.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been spending a lot more time learning about Judaism because I don't want to just treat them as an esoteric force like every other Wignat has. And I guess pivot. Issue with Wignats, and Orthodox brought this up at the beginning of the stream, at least beginning closer to where I joined. Wignats think that they take the fact that they are white to be, if the white race is superior, that means everything they do is inherently superior. And that's that's a justification for not improving themselves as a person. Because it doesn't matter how disgusting they are personality-wise, character-wise. It doesn't matter how unfit or unhealthy they are. The fact that they're white inherently makes them better. And if they're better, they don't have to improve. Because the only context or only reason they have to be better is their comparison to other people. It's not a principle to hold. And even if it were a principle to hold, it's become unfalsifiable to consider.
Well, the guy Righteous Muffin, he's chunky. He's not even physically fit, but he'll talk shit on other people.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not a 100% Bavarian phenotype Chad, I don't want to hear from you talk about white supremacy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like whiteness. We discussed this at some point far before now, Orthodox.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with most Wignats is, and their anti-Semitism, is they don't actually care about all the stuff the Jews are doing, quote unquote, wrong on principle.
They're just mad that they're not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Because me and Gimpy, I will say this. I told Gimpy, I said, they're not mad at you. They don't hate you. They don't even hate Jews. They're just mad that they're not in the same socioeconomic position in society.
Yeah. Just quick. Did Jay and Jim leave the stream?
I believe so. They can come back.
Yeah,
I didn't know until I got back from taking a piss.
Yeah. Jim seems like a very pleasant guy. I'd like to talk with him more at some point, be it through these streams or through other means. Jay, I haven't talked enough with, but I don't know if he's the same Jay.
Yeah, it's Jay from New Frontier.
I see. Okay.
Jay and you,
right.
and Bumpkin are some real online internet real niggas. Y'all have helped me as much as my two closest friends in real life. So I can say that I'm honored to have met a good group of people online that helped me and that have been there for me. Because I've talked a little bit about the year I've had and then this January and the hell that I've gone through. Hey, Savage. What's up, brother?
Hello, Savage. I don't think I've met you before. It's nice to meet you. I'm Joe.
Savage is a very educated, very cool gentleman from CC's panel.
Very nice. It's good to meet you, man.
It's good to meet you. I disagree with you, Orthodox.
On what?
So, I feel like you're falling into the same predicament that Gimpy falls into.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of the times when you're listening to the conversations,
go on.
You there, Savage? Well, I will say this: since Savage is, I don't know if he's muted or his. Yeah, I can hear you now.
We can hear you now.
Okay, so I think that a lot of times when you're listening to CT, he makes generalizations, and he actually, like, when he talks about the Jews, he takes out any negative aspect that the Jews possibly could have. So
We lost you again, buddy.
The last thing we heard is any possible negative aspect the Jews can have. I don't know if you can still hear us, but
yeah, I can hear you. For some reason, my shit keeps turning off while I'm talking. I'm not sure why.
I get it, bro.
Okay.
Fucking annoying.
We'll work through it. I'll let you say what you got to say, because I may be a dick, but I respect you a lot, Savage. From what I've heard about you, what I've seen about you, I respect your opinion. So I'll listen in.
Yeah. So the issue is that when CZ talks about the Jews, he talks about as if the Jews never do anything. All right, and Gimpy takes the position that the Jews criticizing them as Jew hate. So, like, it's not so much like you can make the argument when it comes to, like, Righteous, that yes, he is lower performing, so he is upset about life, but that isn't necessarily everyone else.
And that's fair, and I account for that. When I have to talk to, and then this isn't of the RNC, because I actually liked what he had to say, and me and Gimpy's talked about him as well. But my thing is, when you have underperforming whites coming on panel, and they throw the little bit of cash to be on CT's panel and to do one-on-ones and monologue like that, it makes all of us look bad. And here's the thing. Unlike yourself, because you don't do this, and I did notice it with Aaron C. and Righteous Muffin. Righteous Muffin and Aaron C. tend to personally attack people like Gimpy. 1-to-1. They blame them for it. Like, and especially Righteous Muffin. Aaron C. does it a little bit, but Righteous Muffin, that's his whole shtick. Right? And he wants Gimpy to answer for all the crimes of all Jewish people ever. You can't do that. No one person can answer for the crimes of their entire group. You get where I'm coming from on that? Because I am pro-white. I am a white nationalist. I'm a national socialist. I want white people to succeed.
I get what you're saying, but the problem is that the fact of the matter is the Jews are in a lot of places doing bad shit. Like, that's just a fact, unfortunately. And, like, when he makes the argument, well, you have Jews on both sides of every position, it's like, no, because the majority of them vote Democrat. Whenever it comes down to outsiders, they pick them. Like we have Jews that are in Congress wearing their uniform from serving in the Israel army. Like, you don't have people like that. Like, name one person in the European Parliament that wore their American uniform.
And you shouldn't have that. I agree with you. You shouldn't have that. That should not be allowed.
Yeah, so
Gimpy's even gone as far to say, if I'm not mistaken, that we shouldn't have dual citizenship. That you can't serve more than one master.
Yeah, he's not necessarily the person that I'm talking about. like he's not necessarily like the average Jew that I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, he isn't your typical Jew. But the problem is that at the end of the day, if it's between you and me and him, he's picking his people. Like, no matter what, Jews are always going to pick their own.
And we should pick ours.
Correct.
And Gimpy and other Jews like Gimpy, even if they are a minority, say that, and they respect that. And Gimpy does have very valid points when he asks people like Aaron C. and Righteous Muffin why they don't go after the Catholics. Because my thing is, and I even asked Righteous Muffin this, if you have a traitor and you have an enemy, who do you deal with first? And I even asked Aaron C. that. And the problem with the pro-white sphere and white nationalists and people in general in the West and even in the Middle East and everywhere, I think it's just a person problem. They want to obfuscate and they don't want to look in and they don't want to fix their own groups first.
That's true.
And that's why I bonded with Gimpy and became friends with Gimpy, because he has a point. People should always fix themselves first to the best of their ability. And if they don't want, and if you look at pro-whites and white nationalists, because I've been a white nationalist for 10 years, right? The vast majority of them, and just like I said on CT's panel earlier today, if you were to magically, let's say we were to magically get rid of all Jews tomorrow, not even Holocaust 2, not even removing them, they just disappeared. Hypothetical. Most white nationalists would probably kill themselves out of longing for someone to blame. Because they would have to take responsibility. Well, they wouldn't take responsibility, and then they would just blame black people. It would all become black hate. And if you got rid of them, it would probably be Indian hate. And that's my issue.
Well, me personally, I have a problem with us giving money to all these countries. And you also have to realize the Jews think that they're better than. You have to realize the Jews think they're better than everybody else.
I agree with you, and I'm not gonna counter signal you, but I will say I think that white people are better than everyone else. So why shouldn't I extend that same courtesy and understanding with other groups? I can still be cordial with people that I think that are lesser. I'm just being honest. I also still want those groups, even if me, as a poor white, have to contend with someone who is black, who is wealthy, and has resources, I'm gonna lose. Right? That's not the rich black's fault. And if that rich black prefers his own people over me, that's not his fault. That's just nature. Let's remove Jews from the conversation and just talk about human nature. We can't be hypocritical on the matter. Is all I'm saying. And I agree with just about everything you said on here.
Well, me personally, I'm just not a fan of like, I personally don't believe that there were 6 million Jews that went missing during World War II. Me personally, but I just really don't like the just like CT with his frat shit. Like, it's like, dude, don't sit here and try to gaslight me. That's all.
And I respect that. When I came on CT's panel earlier today, I hadn't really watched, and I wasn't coming for you or anybody in particular, but I do, honest to God, believe that most of that secret society stuff is a nothing burger, and it's just a bunch of rich bros who don't want to be around poor people unless they're pretty or fuckable or both. And the only time you're going to be invited to those parties if you're poor is if you're willing to screw and you're pretty.
Well, if you go and read, like, if you look into any of the literature of these secret societies, like, that's not in any way what they think, what they believe. Like, that, like, if you read Albert Pike says specifically that they lie to the lower level guys about what Masonry is about. He talks about them worshiping Lucifer. There isn't anything good about the Masons, for one. For two, if you look into the frats and what the frats were doing and what they do, they're Luciferian. They're Mason. All the fraternities were started by people that were Masons. So, like, if you're a Christian, you can't support fraternities or the Masons or secret societies or anything like that. Like, it goes against your faith.
Now we're saying again.
If you're a Christian, secret societies go against your faith.
As long as you're not trying to serve two masters, I don't see how.
Because you're not supposed to take oaths.
You can take oaths in Christianity.
No, it says no, you're not to swear oaths behind closed doors. You're actually not even supposed to say, you're not even supposed to swear on your life or on your hair, or you're not supposed to tempt God like that. It's the Bible says.
I get what you're saying.
So, like,
well, I'm not a member of any of these organizations, nor do I want to be. I've had the opportunity to be a legacy Mason because of my grandfather, and I have been approached about it. And the thing about being a Mason is you are supposed to approach a Mason because of my legacy status and my uncaringness about it. They approached me. And I told them I'm not interested, thank you. And maybe that might change. But I've read my grandfather's Mason Bible. And I've had conversations with my grandfather when I was a teenager before he passed about Masonry. And I'm going to tell you that the only evil the Masons participate, and it is pretty big evil, don't get me wrong, is they want to rebuild the Third Temple. A good 90% of the Masonic Bible is literally just a written schematic of the Third Temple, how to blueprint it out, what the exact materials were, down to the curtains in the place. And that's about it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily true, but so you have to realize that Masonry actually, they worship Lucifer, and if you look at Judaism actually doesn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah, and they believe their Messiah will come. The next Messiah that comes is their Messiah. So Judaism wants to bring the Antichrist if you're a Christian. the Masons want to bring the Antichrist because when the third temple is built, if you're a Christian, Jesus comes back then. So like that's
Hold
the
on, hold on
issue.
1 second, Savage. Good night, Distant Lights. Thanks for joining in. Go ahead, my bad.
That's it.
Let me finish biting my sandwich. I'll give you a counterpoint. Since I've read the Mason Bible and I know what's in it, and I know a lot about Masonry because of my grandfather, there is a rule in Masonry that you have to be religious. And it doesn't matter what you believe in, you just can't be an atheist. And which honestly, that in and of itself is irrelevant because Masonry as an organization is agnostic. It's agnosticism of the faithful. It's because it's not a religious organization. Because, like I said, 90% of the Masonic Bible is just a written schematic for the third temple. The other 10% is morals that Masons are supposed to follow to be part of the organization. And they don't worship Lucifer because, again, they don't worship in the organization. The Masonic Hall is for conducting business, brotherhood, pageantry, and ceremony. It is not for religious sermons, whether it be satanic or otherwise.
Mm-hmm. You do realize that there's like you can literally go online and there's plenty of cases of child sexual abuse that's tied to lodge halls, right? Mason lodges.
I'm not going to downplay any of that. I haven't heard about that myself. But when I was a child, I visited the Masonic halls with my grandfather. No one ever tried to touch my bottom. Some of the few girls that were there with their grandfathers, they were not molested. And again, that's only anecdotal. I can't speak for what happened at other places. But I can promise you that when those Masons found those who did them, they either lynched them or had them arrested. Because if the Masons didn't want you to know what happened at those meeting halls, you wouldn't.
You know that doesn't really make your argument better, right?
It's a secret private organization. It's
Yeah,
not
so-
about making my argument better, Savage. It's about telling the truth.
Yeah, so if they're doing something illegal and you won't hear about it, it implies a exercise of force.
Which I'm not against. I'm not against the exercise of force.
Okay, well,
That's why I promise you that more than likely or not, if there were Mason child molesters, they probably ended up hanged in a tree in the forest. And I absolutely support the extrajudicial execution of pedophiles. I don't care if YouTube takes down the stream or the FBI knock on my door. I'll say, yeah, I said it.
okay, well, you can defend the Masons all you want. There's nothing there's nothing out there from any of the historians that actually were Masons that have published writings that agrees with your argument.
Okay, you can say that. Post your sources.
All you have to do is read Albert Pike or Matty P. Hall. Matty P.
Was
Hall.
it Albert Pike and Matty P. Hall kicked out of the Masons?
Albert Pike wasn't kicked out of the Masons.
So he told Mason's business, but wasn't kicked out because that you do get kicked out of the Mason if you talk about Mason business.
Hello again.
Hey,
Just quickly, I wanted to say, Savage, I'm deeply sorry. for not being able to talk with you. Orthodox, I do have to dip personally just because of some personal affairs.
All right, I'm about to end it anyway, so I'll call
Yeah.
you or meet you in the Discord in a little
Yeah,
bit.
I'll DM you in case and ask if the stream's still on by the time I'm done. In the meantime, I do have to dip for now. But
All right.
thank you for having me on. This was a very wonderful experience, genuinely.
No problem. It's coming. It's coming to. We're here. We've been going live for 2 hours, and
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna end it. Savage, any final words?
Nope, that's it. Later.
All right, later. All right, thanks for watching. This has been a rather slow stream, not like the last one, but hopefully we can grow the audience and make it better. Thank you everyone for watching. Y'all have a good one.